The year is 1983, and due to an influx of crappy games, the console video game market in North America has crashed harder than an office worker going out for 3 hours of sleep and 8 coffees. Enter soon-to-be household name Nintendo, a Japanese company decided to enter the console market with the Famicom, later to become known as the Nintendo Entertainment System, 2 years later once it finally left the land of the rising sun and entered the land of the rising obesity rate. In its debut year, only 9 games were released for the Famicom, which we are going to rank today, starting from the absolute worst of the Famicom's baby years and ending with the best. Hello gamers of the world, this is Adventure Rules. Welcome to every Famicom game of 1983 ranked from worst to best. Number 9, Donkey Kong Jr. Math.
Nobody's tempting me back. I blame my school.
I'm sure no one's surprised this one is at the bottom. While there are some good ones, edutainment games are very hard to pull off correctly. Either you end up with something that makes you feel like you're in school, or something that does very little to actually teach you the concept that you're trying to teach kids. This game falls firmly in the first camp. For one, it's a multiplayer-only game, and asking a friend to play this game should qualify as assault. You move very slowly up and down and across vines to collect numbers and symbols in order to make the number DK Senior is holding up before either your opponent does, or you fall asleep from boredom. Easily one of the worst of the so-called black box NES games that made up the system's early lineup. Number 8, Mahjong. Japanese Mahjong is something I can never wrap my head around, no matter how many Yakuza games I played. I have an easier time understanding the Kingdom Hearts time than the rules of this game. Just to hammer in the point I'm trying to make, there's a video on YouTube meant to teach the basics of this game that is 3 hours long. There's so many weird rules and terms you have to remember, plus the game is in Japanese only, so I can't understand what each of the commands are supposed to be. As such, I have no choice but to place it this low on the list, as I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I'm sure it would be more fun if I knew the game, but as it is now, it's stuck at second from the bottom. Number 7, Gomoku no Rabe Renju. From one traditional Japanese game to another. Gomoku no Rabe Renju is a rather simple rendition of Gomoku. Gomoku is a game based around lining up stones of your color while blocking your opponent from doing the same. The AI is not beginner-friendly at all, being cut through even on the easiest difficulty. The games take quite a while, and the presentation is incredibly basic. There's not much more to say about this one. It's Gomoku. Number 6, Baseball. Oh yeah, sports time. In all seriousness, baseball is exactly what it says in the tin. It's baseball. You're given a small collection of teams to choose from, which are actually different between the original Japanese and Western releases. The only thing that really differentiates the teams is the colors they wear, which are based on real Japanese baseball teams and American baseball teams. Never really liked sports in general, or sports video games, at least the ones that try to be an accurate simulation of the sport they're adapting. The AI is incredibly frustrating and annoying to play against. Or maybe I just suck. I've heard it's more fun to play with an actual person, but if you're going to play this with a friend, you'd be better off playing a more recent baseball game instead. With all due respect, this is about as good as baseball games got in the 80s, so it deserves at least that much, but there's not really a whole lot of reason to go back to this one. Number 5, Popeye no Eigo Asobi, aka Popeye's English Lesson. Now we're getting past the point of mediocrity to games that are actually fun. Popeye no Eigo Asobi is a game meant to teach Japanese children English, which you wouldn't think would translate well to being played by an English-speaking player, but it's actually a lot like Hangman, and it's pretty fun. Donkey Kong Jr.'s math leans more towards the more of a teaching tool side of the edutainment game spectrum. Popeye no Eigo Asobi leans more towards the more of a fun game side of the experience, as there's very little value as a teaching tool. It's still fun if you enjoy Hangman. Number 4, Donkey Kong Jr. While not as popular as its predecessor, Donkey Kong Jr. is still a fun game to play to this very day. Going up faster and climbing 2 vines and downwards while climbing one is a cool mechanic, and so much so that it was reused in Mario vs. Donkey Kong. The first 3 levels are based on getting to Donkey Kong while avoiding animals and traps sent by Mario. Yeah, Mario's the bad guy in this game, the only time in video game history that has ever happened. The 4th level is unique from the others in that DK Jr. has to push keys upwards to the top while avoiding enemies. The only downside I think this game has is that the levels feel rather samey compared to the ones from the original DK arcade game, plus the fact that DK Donkey Kong Jr. somehow seems clumsier to control compared to Mario in the original game. I don't really know why that is, but it just feels that way. Number 3, Mario Brothers. While looked on now just being the game that introduced Luigi, the original Mario Brothers somehow still managed to be fun despite its age. Enemies pour into the sewer like the last remnants of the Taco Bell you ate for supper, and your goal is not to jump on them, but rather bump them from below to kick them off the screen. For the time, there's a considerable amount of enemy variety, from the shell creepers, the most basic enemies, to the side steppers, which need to be hit twice, to the fighter flies, which jump around, jump up, and get down. While it's overshadowed by later Super Mario Bros., it's a fun game in its own right, if a bit simple. Number 2, Popeye. Fun fact, Donkey Kong was originally supposed to be a Popeye game, but Nintendo weren't able to get the rights. After said game was a smash hit, King Syndicate, the owners of Popeye, must have changed their minds, as it allowed Nintendo to use the character after all. The game is split into 3 main levels, the goal in each being to grab whatever olive oil is throwing out, be it hearts, music notes, or letters, while avoiding Bluto, as well as the Sea Hag on subsequent loops. Occasionally you get the chance to turn the tables on Bluto when a can of spinach appears, which kind of acts like the power pellet from Pac-Man. allowing Popeye to send Bluto blasting off like Team Rocket. The game is honestly really fun, too bad it got an absolutely atrocious Switch remake. Number 1. Donkey Kong. The game that put Nintendo on the map, one of the earliest 2D platformers, and the debut of 3 iconic characters. Mario, who would go on to get his own successful series, the original Donkey Kong, that even known as Cranky Kong, and Pauline, who, while being absent for years, has recently seen a resurgence thanks to her appearance in Mario Odyssey. The game consists of 3 levels, one fewer than the arcade version's 4. The game may have cut the cement factor from the arcade version, but it's still a great version of Donkey Kong. In fact, the Famicom hardware was specifically designed to play a great game with Donkey Kong. Although this game was eventually overshadowed by the later Mario and Donkey Kong games, it still remains an important piece of Nintendo's history, which is why it baffles me that they completely ignored its 40th anniversary, not even acknowledging it at all. I mean, come on, disrespectful. There isn't much else to say about Donkey Kong. It's a classic for a reason. This dimension rule is saying, ciao.